So I want to share a dream I had the other day. It's a very vivid dream, and I'm going to make an effort to try and compress it so that it's not super long story. Yeah, there's a lot of details, believe it or not. It's been a week and I still have a lot of information. And it seemed like a very relevant dream, and I want to get it out. I want to log it here. It's important. And I feel like this place is like a treasure trove of psychonautica, and I want to keep it pristine in my collection of recollections. So yeah, the dream. I'm walking down the street with a friend of mine, Namaya. She's somebody that I lived with before, and in many ways it feels like we've been walking in parallel together through different lives, many lifetimes. We have this sort of ancient feeling to our friendship, and very secure in our connection. The kind of friendship where you can drift apart for a long, long time and come back like everything is just as it was, timeless. Her and I are walking down the street, just casually walking down the street, and come across this new venue that's just opened up. When is this place? We're both curious. So I look into the window and I see there's a fella in there who I recognize. I recognize him from a festival that I went to last summer. He's a guy who I volunteered with at this tea tent, and basically he and I poured tea for all of the festival attendees, and we just poured tea and tended to the fire and made tea all day long and just chit chat with people and stayed around the fire with them. He introduced himself as the shepherd. Yeah, I see him in my dream, and it's like, what are you doing? It's a surprise to see you here. And he says, well, we grant access to portals to other lives. If you are interested, you can come with me. And my friend and I were very interested. We were like, okay, let's go in. So we follow him. First of all, we're just in this blank beige white room. No color, nothing, no details. And open up this door, takes us into this black hallway. And it's painted black, the floors are black, the walls are black, and he has a little flashlight. There's no other light except the light that he has. He's guiding us down this hallway. And I look at the wall beside me, and as I look at the wall, I kind of fall into some part of my consciousness, aware of the fact that I'm dreaming, and it lets me see that I'm dreaming, but also parallel versions of me are dreaming, and I can tap into any of those dreams, and I can gather information from them. So I just stumbled. It felt like I could harness a skill in this hallway. It felt like I could get more precise in where I dive into from here, but in my experience here, it's like I'm brand new in discovering this place. So I just kind of stumbled into the first dream that I found, a mini dream within a dream where I touched this person, I pushed him up against a wall, felt him, and was able to download information from this interaction. Not only was I downloading some of his story, but I was also downloading how he was receiving the story and seeing how he was interpreting this gesture to be an act of intimacy, when really it was an act of wishing to understand him better. I walk away from him saying, look, it's not about that. I'm not attracted to you. Like, what was happening there was a projection that I needed to see. So I'm just walking away right now. So I'm walking away, and as I'm walking away, it feels like I'm walking away forever. I'm walking away through different levels of feelings about this interaction, all the different egoic experiences one can have. They all peeled away one after another. I eventually find my way back to that black hallway where I'm now walking down the hallway with my friend Amaya and the shepherd leading the way. He takes us to this room, which is an open theater, and everything is black here. And there's a stage that's raised up like a few feet, and the stage is painted black. There's kind of like a balcony, a box behind the stage where it could be like a balcony, and it's also painted black. And there's like stairs that lead up to the top of that. So we walk along the left side of the stage to go up these stairs, and we climb up the ladder to get to the top. And we go to the top, and we're sitting down on the ground, and it's kind of like a padded area. And there's yeah, like cushions everywhere. Everything's black here still. And the shepherd's pretty casual about all of this. He's not treating it like this glorified experience. I get this feeling that he doesn't have a lot of time. And before he took us into the space, I got the feeling that he was kind of just watching this place, that it wasn't really his job, but that he was standing in for somebody, and that somebody else would take his place after that, or standing in for somebody who would then return. I'm not really sure, but in the same way that it worked with at the tea tent, you would relieve a person and someone else would take the place, and so on. So it kind of had that feeling about this place as well. He gets us set up with these headsets. He puts these headsets on our heads, and we both lie down, and I immediately fall into this kind of, as soon as I put this headset on, I get this sort of feeling like there's a closed book that just sort of opens, and all the pages open up, and all of the pages in this book are like all the different lives I've lived or can live, like all the different potential realities I could access. And it was just sort of, for the first little bit, it was just a flickering of lifetimes and memories and rememberings of different lives. And it was so quick that I couldn't connect to any of them, but it was such a flood of intense recollection going through this filing cabinet. It feels like a filing cabinet in my mind. I'm sort of sifting through memories of just trying to find some sort of place to ground within it, because it was so fast. And so eventually I start to feel like it's very similar to a psychedelic trip, just like it's like I got slammed with something so hard that I couldn't even really see reality properly. Finally, things are starting to soften out. I'm starting to land into something. Oh, I feel something kind of familiar. Oh yeah, this is kind of comfortable. I could land here for a second. And then I just kind of land in somebody. So I end up in this new body, this new person, this new personality, this new woman. It's not me. I guess she might kind of look like me, but she's not what I look like now. She's got red hair, green eyes, pale freckles, and I find myself looking in the mirror of my bathroom, and it's like high definition, like very, very detailed. And it's actually very rare that I remember noticing or seeing my face in a mirror. It's super rare for me to have this experience in the dream. So I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm a real person. Like, this is me. How, touching my skin and being like in awe about this being my face. And yet it all feels so familiar. Like I've done this before. Like I've been here before, standing in the mirror for a second, having forgotten about myself, and then coming back to myself. And oddly, I have had an experience like that in my life, where I've looked in the mirror after waking up. Looking in the mirror, and as a teenager, I walked to the washroom. I looked in the mirror, and I didn't recognize myself for like a minute. I was just in awe, and I had this moment where I was touching my face. So weirdly, it was like a real recall. It was like a repeat of that experience, but in the dream and a different face. And so, but yet it all seemed to make sense. So I was like, okay, so cool, I guess I'll just go to bed. So then I was brushing my teeth in the dream, and then I put my toothbrush down, and everything is where it usually is. It's just I don't look like I used to, but I don't remember what I used to look like anymore. And then I just turn around and I go to my bed, and I know how to get there. My room, the hallways, like the living room is black. So I walk through the black living room, I get into my bedroom, black bedroom, lay down in my bed, curl up, lay down, and I start to remember the feeling of the shepherd. I start to remember him, and his essence, is there. And I remember that this is not my life. This is not my life. I thought I was living a life, and that I had briefly forgotten what my life was like. But no, that was a trip. That was not real. So I wake up, and I am in the virtual reality space where I'm in that black padded room again, and we're taking our headsets off because he just unplugged something, and he's like, okay, everyone, we have to go. It's too hot up here, and I can't really stay. I don't really want to stay here for very long. Plus, I have to go. Like, I didn't really have plans to stay here for very long. So we were like, okay. And then my friend was like looking at him like she was in love with him. I don't know what her story was or what dream she fell into, but she fell into something, and I felt her in some way, but I didn't get stuck on that because I was too busy just in this kind of aftermath state of being like, whoa, like there's some deep potential here. Like I want this job. How do I do this? And then I realized, hey, I actually have this job. This is what I do. I do this. I do this. This is my real job. I work at a float center. People go into float tanks and they float and they access different aspects of themselves. They go into different, they can often feel like going into different dimensions and different realities. So like, what, this is my job. This is the work that I do. And as I'm walking down the ladder, I'm realizing that maybe it's not about falling asleep and going into this trip. Maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's more, maybe the point is waking up. Maybe it's not about falling asleep. Maybe it's about waking up. That's what I kept saying to myself as I was walking through that area where the theater is. So I'm passing by the stage and I'm saying to myself, like, maybe it's not about falling asleep. Maybe it's about waking up inside of the dream. Walk through the black hallway, and I don't get stuck there. I walk through and I make it all the way through, and I'm in that original reception room now, this blank beige room, and the shepherd is nowhere to be seen, but he's left the keys on the table. And yeah, there's this feeling like they could be picked up by anybody. They could be, my feeling was that they might get picked up by Namaya, my friend who's still back there. And I left the space and I look outside. I look into the window as I'm leaving. I read there's a poster outside, and the poster says, "Celebrate your dad's birthday with your dad." And when I read that sign, my feeling was like, that you could celebrate your dad's birthday with your dad even if your dad was dead, kind of deal. Like, even if your dad doesn't exist in this dimension, you can still go into other dimensions and hang out with your dad on his birthday. So there was something about that I was sitting with in this dream that was like, whoa, like there is something potent and powerful here that we can explore and dive deeper into. And I just saw the potential and wanted to explore that further. And yeah, I didn't feel inclined to take the keys off the counter. I just decided to start walking home. So yeah, anyways, that's the end of the dream. Weirdly, I ended up sending, so about a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I saw the shepherd in somebody's photo. A girl named Jen on Facebook who I don't know that well, but I saw a picture of them together, and I was like, oh, the shepherd. And that was about a month ago. So I thought, oh my God, I could actually send this dream to her, and she could send the shepherd the dream. So I decided to send her the dream, or to ask her if she could, connect us so that he can get the dream sent to him in case there's a message in there for him. And we got in contact, and we ended up having an interaction that was, felt like destiny. It felt like an interaction that needed to happen. Like, I had a message for him in the dream that was delivered to him via me in this dimension, but our souls made a contract to make it so that I would remember, so that I could send this little message to him. Gave him a piece of information that was necessary, that he needed to hear at that time in his life. And I won't get into those details because that's his life, but it felt very poignant and very timely. We met up in 3D and had tea together and hung out for a minute and talked about what was here, talked about the dream a little bit, and we're just trying to get a feel for if there was anything left that needed to be exchanged, if there was something that he wanted to share with me or I wanted to share with him. And basically what that interaction really just did was just create like a bling, like a little bit of sparkle in reality, and sort of like a cosmic wink that was like, hey, reality is a lot more special than you realize. Like, yeah, it's just this is the trip right here. We're on it. We're doing it right now. This is the dream we're all trying to wake up from. This is it right here. So the magic is staying tuned into that and remembering that and waking up every time we fall asleep. So yeah, that's the dream right there. Thank you for listening, and I will check in with you later. Bye bye.